Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is just absolutely wild. We're going to look at how the very device you're staring at right this second actually perfectly illustrates a really profound, universal philosophy. We usually treat technology and philosophy like they're totally separate universes, right? But the invisible architecture of our digital world, it completely mirrors the deepest foundations of system theory. So get ready, because we're about to connect the dots between your smartphone, the literal laws of the universe, and the fundamental nature of unity. Okay, let's just jump right in. 5 billion. Right now, at this exact moment, there are 5 billion people online. And that's 5 billion people using just wildly different devices. I mean, we're talking laptops, smartphones, tablets, watches, heck, even smart refrigerators. And all this hardware, it's built by fiercely competing companies, it's running on completely different operating systems, and it's scattered across every single continent. The sheer mind-boggling scale, and honestly the absolute chaos of this hardware landscape, it's almost impossible to really wrap your head around. So, with all that glorious chaos, it begs a pretty huge question. How on earth do they all actually understand each other? Really think about it for a second. If you've got billions of totally disparate devices, and they're all essentially speaking their own native proprietary hardware languages, how does a random message sent from a phone in Tokyo perfectly show up on a totally different computer in London just a fraction of a second later? Without a way to translate and communicate, those 5 billion devices wouldn't be a network at all. They'd just be this deafening, disconnected chorus of digital noise. So, what's the secret? Well, the secret is literally just one protocol, TCP/IP. Now, look, I know you likely already know what TCP/IP is, but let's reframe it for a minute. Think of it as this single shared standard sitting quietly right underneath the entire web. It's the invisible architecture of the internet. Because instead of trying to force every single device to somehow learn the specific quirky language of every other device, computer science gave us one universal mathematical dimension, one definitive set of rules. TCP/IP just sits there in the background, totally out of sight, yet it's the exact thing making billions of insanely complex interactions possible every single day. It's really the unsung hero powering your entire digital life. Every single video call you make to a friend, every quick text you shoot over to a coworker, every random website you scroll through over coffee, all of it, the whole shebang, is built straight on top of TCP/IP. This wild, endless variety of things we can do online, it's only achievable because, at the very foundation of the system, there is complete and total unity. And this actually brings us to this incredibly beautiful concept in system theory. It's known as Nursi's principle, and it states, one order, unlimited connections. Basically, this principle argues that true boundless potential doesn't come from a chaotic, fragmented system. No, it actually comes from having a single, unified order right at the base. Because you have that one solid, unified foundation, you can endlessly scale up the connections on top of it. When you think about it, our entire network architecture is quite literally a technological echo of this exact philosophy. But here's where it gets really crazy. This principle scales across our entire reality. Just like the internet uses TCP/IP, let's look at biology. The dizzying, infinite variety of life on Earth, from massive redwood trees all the way down to microscopic bacteria, well, it all operates on a single shared standard, DNA. And if we zoom out even further to the cosmos itself, the universe operates on universal physical laws. System theorists often explain this through the Sultan analogy. It's the idea that a vast, sprawling empire functions harmoniously precisely because it's governed by one sultan, one ultimate set of laws, rather than a chaotic mess of conflicting rulers. So, whether we're talking about the internet, biology, or the physical laws of the universe itself, this mathematical dimension of unity, it applies absolutely everywhere. Honestly, imagine the absolute engineering nightmare if we didn't have TCP/IP. We'd have a billion separate, clunky systems instead of one shared one. And the truth is, you don't need a separate protocol for every device on Earth. Actually, scratch that. You can't have a separate protocol for every device. If you had to build a billion separate protocols for a billion separate devices just so they could say hello to each other, the entire network would instantly collapse under its own weight. It's practically impossible. Instead, you need exactly one shared standard that everyone universally agrees to build upon. So the crucial takeaway is this. Every single time your phone connects to the internet, it is running on someone's profoundly brilliant decision to build one unified system instead of a billion separate ones. Unity isn't just a simpler way to organize things, it is the fundamental prerequisite that makes existence possible. Unity is what makes the whole thing function at all. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I'm going to leave you with this one final thought to chew on.
If TCP/IP governs our technology and DNA governs our biology, what is the ultimate hidden protocol governing us?